Welcome to Jay's on Real Estate again. James.
Jason.
And we are back after another fun kind of team meeting here at Trillium West. And so, for the most part, boring stuff out of the way, market is still fairly consistent with what we were seeing last week and earlier in the month in late November. We're seeing things stay pretty balanced for the most part, James? And
yeah, I mean, we just got out of the meeting with our broker, Kurt, and the numbers are pretty much aligned with what we talked about last week.
yeah, inventory's on its way up, some pricing going down, detached properties sort of holding steady,
Yeah.
really not much of a change. And that, to be honest, it seems like we're on the same page all around the office here, that will probably continue to be the case going into the new year. And with inventory piling up, probably pushing a little more pressure on prices down a bit through the winter, January, February, depending on how interest rate announcements and stuff like that go.
That was one thing that resonated with me in that conversation was typically it's a slow start, but we're gonna have a crap ton of homes available. Mm-hmm. And so when we keep talking about this supply issue, you know, I don't know if it's an actual supply issue. It's definitely an affordability issue. But when Kurt mentioned that we're going to be rolling into the new year with all these extra stale listings or all these, you know, cancel and relists, a bit of a storm coming, I think, in January, February. So one point a few of our agents were saying is maybe get ahead of the curve, maybe list early Jan, mid Jan, late Jan, and don't wait for that hot spring market to come. I think there'll be too much to choose from. And just like you said, it'll kind of bring prices down, or the cream of the crop will kind of sell out. And if you haven't done, crossed your T's, dotted your I's on all those listings, I think you're gonna have a hard time ahead. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And so, on a bit of a different note here, I saw something this week about a strawberry home or something. What is that about?
Yeah. So there was a clip on the CBC about the Liberal government trying to help out with this housing crisis we have. So back in World War II, there was a bit of a housing crisis when all of our boys came home. We needed to house these people. So they built these wartime homes. But the other names they had were strawberry homes and victory homes. And what these homes were they were small footprint, easy to build. They were saying they could be put up in less than 36 hours. That I don't know, but small floor plans, and you can usually go through downtowns of the larger cities, and you can see like they've got the 1.5 story peaks, where you go up the stairs and there's a bedroom to the left and a bedroom to the right, not even a bathroom upstairs. So very easy to install for the workforce to come through, cheap, affordable. So what this government wants to do is take a layer of bureaucracy off, which I don't know if that's the case, and cut time. Cut price, maintain sustainability, but also update building codes. And this is to try to bring this level of housing, of affordable housing, to the masses sooner than later. The focus would be on multiplexes, student housing, and seniors building as well, more in the low-rise and the mid-rise sector, maybe high-rise down the road when we get there. But it's just another solution to try to get more homes built. I know there's this number of millions of homes that need to be built. And, you know, being on the new build side, I'm seeing a lot of homes available for sale. Whether they're building them or not is a different story. So, I just thought it's kind of interesting. So they kind of brought back this catalog from the 1940s where you just can pick and choose. You slap up 4 walls and a roof. And it becomes a new solution. So I thought it was kind of cool. CBC, I think, had the segment on YouTube. So if you want to check it out, go for it.
So the main gist of that then, of these strawberry homes and the catalog that was used, is going to be to essentially make the plans of a consistent home type that they can just kind of stamp very quickly and approve very, very quickly and build very, very quickly.
So no need for architect, no need for planners, cuts down on time. So basically, you could bring this plan to a builder and say, I want this on this land. This land, no problem. Get it up. It's ready in, well, they're saying less than a week.
Wow.
Yeah. So if it's prefab.
If it's prefab.
So that's exactly right. Usually you have to go to the city, get a permit, go back to your architect, readdress the drawings, check the setbacks. This is going to be a plug-and-play scenario.
Yeah, usually just the approval processes alone take months.
Yeah.
To have a bit of a quick thing to say, look, I've got this land, I want to be living in it in 6 months.
Yep.
Let's do it. Fingers crossed that the types of plans that they approve are ones that people actually want and need, because we hear a miscommunication sometimes in terms of condos and things like that of what the market actually needs versus what is being built. We're seeing a lot of simple one-bedroom units built in condos, for example, without a family sort of option. Hopefully they're thinking about that sort of thing
Yeah,
when
good
they're
point.
approving models for this.
They did mention there was some things like side splits and bungalows. I don't know what the entire product type will be, but as I read the feedback on the forum through the videos, it was quite negative. There wasn't a lot of positivity. Too much government influence, bureaucracy, it's just more red tape, but they were saying it's less red tape, so I don't know how that's going to work. So I guess we'll see what happens, but I don't know. I don't know if they're trying to make something stick and just have some solutions to help their party or not. Not to make this political or anything, but I do think at least they're trying to put up something that's a little bit more basic, ready to go on the fly, do a bunch at one time.
Right.
But you're right.
If it's worked in the past, like it's worth looking at again.
Yeah.
Maybe the landscape has changed, but it's a solution to a problem that's mounting and has been for years,
Yeah.
right, in housing
Yeah.
shortages. So, very cool, fun stuff.
Before we move to the next item, I just wanted to touch base on fixed rates. So we did talk about interest rates being paused. We've seen a dramatic dip in the fixed rate forum. Someone in our group had mentioned 2 weeks ago they were approved for 6.15 down to 5.4 in a matter of 2 weeks. That's significant. And I don't know, I know with people, I'm not sure if you know what a fixed rate is, but basically you pay that fixed rate for the term. So if I have a 5-year fixed rate, I'm paying that for 5 years. My payments are not fluctuating, they're staying the same. But that should give some ammunition to some buyers. I know that they're used to free money over the past 3 years, but we're kind of getting closer to that historical norm of 4.5–5%. So just wanted to touch on that. That with declining pricing is kind of an atmosphere to purchase a home. So
Yeah, it's definitely leaning more that way. It'll be interesting to see how that affects things in the new year here, and depending on what the Bank of Canada does as well. If they also end up starting to lower in the next few months in line with what some of the banks are doing right now.
I said 2 or 3 rate decreases is on the forecast. I don't know if people can be saying that stuff. I think 1 or 2, and people were like, hey, the world's back to normal, let's start spending again. Obviously I'm in a position where rates aren't affecting me. I'm not on the variable rate, but I think it's harder than it's harder than people really see it. I don't know how to word that, but do you know what I'm saying? No, I don't know.
Yeah, I think when folks start to hear that interest rates are going down a little bit again, I think that a lot of buyers are going to get overexcited about that and think that it is going to start getting back to sort of what it was pandemic levels. But people really need to keep in mind that a light dip here in interest rates is not going to put us anywhere near where they were during the pandemic.
Correct.
A dip is a dip, and it's a step in the right direction, hopefully. But that doesn't mean that we are going to get to a point again where buyers need to start absolutely scrambling to keep up with the market and compete like crazy. We're probably going to see us ride a bit more of a balanced market for a while. So I'm not sure if that's kind of where you were trying to go in terms of like the overexcitement. Things go down.
I think this is where rates are going to be for the next 5 years or so. I just think this is the number. I think free money at 0.12% is a pipe dream, and I think living at 6 to 8% is hard living. So I think this is kind of the sweet spot, and I think pricing should fall in line with when the rates kind of stabilize in this area of 4 to 5 to 5%. So anyhow, just want to touch on that. I thought it was quite interesting. So go reach out and get another pre-approval from your lender.
Absolutely, yeah. Try to lock these things in
Yeah.
before the new year.
Yeah.
Awesome. Another thing I wanted to touch on today is that we're now 2 weeks into TRESA changes, and some of the back end stuff. Some clients might not really, or consumers may not know much about what's going on behind the scenes with all this. But there are a couple of pieces of this that are front facing, consumers will be dealing with. One of which is one that we spent a lot of time talking about today, which is the new status of a self-represented buyer.
Right.
And so in the past, up until December 1st, realtors had an option to either work with an individual as a client, work with an individual as a customer, which was sort of similar in helping to guide them through the purchase process a little bit, but didn't carry the full responsibility of a client, where you're also supporting them on the financial back end, general, more big picture, showing them a number of properties. There was sort of this division of responsibility from a realtor's side, and a buyer could always work on their own and try to buy privately or have a lawyer write up the paperwork. December 1st, they eliminated this customer role. So now you are either working with a realtor or you are not.
Right.
And we are already starting to see a lot of confusion around this.
And I thought that should make it easier.
In theory,
yeah, right,
it should make it easier. But it's important to recognize that if you are going into a listing and hoping to work directly with the listing agent, and you want to walk in and have them prepare an offer for you, it's going to be a real shakeup as people realize, and hopefully realtors are abiding by these rules, that a realtor can no longer tell you how the neighborhood is, or what the house up the street sold for, or even to advise you on how to prepare an offer or what clauses to include. These are now things that would be overstepping on a realtor's side if you don't intend to work with that realtor as a client. The main idea here is to offer a bit more clarity of, all right, if this realtor is giving you advice, they carry a bit of liability in what they're telling you. They have to stand by what they're saying because they are advising you as a public member.
Yeah.
If you are working on your own as a self-represented buyer, it's on you to do your due diligence. You're opting to not use a professional, so hopefully you cover all your own bases. The idea is that it's easier because it's more clear. You're either working with a realtor or you're not. But from realtors and consumers, we're already seeing a lot of confusion about what is advice, what is a professional opinion, what kind of conversation is allowed and what is not allowed. And I think we're probably going to be seeing a lot more headaches along that line.
The idea is supposed to be better, yeah.
Yeah, in theory. Yeah.
One example we had, and I thought was like extremely interesting, is an unrepresented buyer comes in and they say, okay, I'd like to offer this, and I'd like you to draft that up, and I don't want, please remove the commission on the buy side so I can get a cheaper price. And that all sounds great, but the reality is the commission is negotiated with the seller, correct? And I can't actually draft you an offer because you're unrepresented, right? I'd be overstepping the relationship. So what is their alternative if they want to draft an offer?
For the most part, if you are going to be a self-represented party, for the time being, the best way to cover your bases would be to have a lawyer write up your agreement for you. So lawyers obviously very well suited to protect you on paper, although they would have never been through the property.
Correct.
They're not going to help you coordinate your inspections or make sure you're doing your financing.
Are they going to these appointments?
No.
Are they unlocking doors?
No.
Are they, so they can't even speak to the contents of the house?
No.
All right, so,
absolutely not.
So in theory, it would make sense if the buyer was totally understanding of what the house, the all-encompassing picture of the house was. But the scenario we talked about is, what happens if you want to draft an offer, you didn't get it, and you move on to the next, you draft an offer, you didn't get it. Now you've drafted 10 offers with a lawyer. Yeah. How much money have they spent on offers?
The number that we had chatted about in our office here is I think it's around like $500 to $800 for a lawyer to draft up an offer for you, and that would be added on if there's ever counters or anything like that. And so yeah, you start doing 10 offers, you're spending $8,000 on just writing offers on things. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the public sort of works with this. I anticipate there being some more creative options coming around.
Agreed.
Maybe some sort of consulting program or something like that for self-represented buyers, but that is going to be even with that, and even if lawyers are become a lot more affordable on that, they're still not going to be able to keep up with
No.
the market conditions, property valuations, stuff like that.
What happens if it's 8 o'clock at night and you need to draft an offer? Is that lawyer picking up the phone?
I got a couple good lawyers
Well,
who would, but
like
not a lot
maybe you
would.
should share those contacts.
Yeah, I will.
But the reality is, like, realtors, we do get paid fairly well, but we are call and beckon people, right? 9:30, I got to pick up my phone. 9:30 in the morning, I got to go open a house, and I got to go drive an hour and a half. You know, I'm just saying. And the last time I checked, I don't charge anything to draft an offer, and I've drafted 60 offers for one group of people before. So there will be some creative ways that naturally will progress from this. Obviously, it being in the infancy stages, I just think we're seeing a lot of challenges up front.
Yeah.
But yeah.
There's growing pains with a lot of the stuff that's
Sure.
coming in. And that kind of leads us to the other big talking point in our office day.
Open offers.
Offers, absolutely. Do you want to go over a little bit of what we're seeing there?
Yeah, so should I go over the example or just...
I think it makes sense to throw out an example.
Open
Without
offers...
throwing names?
Sure,
Yeah.
no names.
Yeah.
Open offers essentially would be exactly as it's stated, is the contents of that offer would be open to everybody at the table. So things like purchase price, conditions, closing date, the pertinent things that would be important to both parties, buyers and sellers. So it being open, me thinking I want to go buy a house, that's fantastic. Well, I'm going to know exactly what Jay's going to pay for it, and if I really want that, I can increase my offer by $1,000 and say, I'm going to get this house, and it's going to be that easy.
Yep.
Well, the example that we came across that happened on the December 1st, which was the first day of the implementation of the open offers. I'll let you kind of take it from here, but what exactly, what was the holdup?
Well, the main sort of confusion came out, and I don't think it's really a surprise to anybody. Like, I think that the preparation and the information that went out about Tressa, even to today, I think the answers they give on what's supposed to happen here are extremely vague. And to be honest, I don't know if our bodies even really know what the proper steps are, but in the example that you're talking about here, we had a colleague who was offering on this property on December 1st, and in the initial wave of offers coming in and updates going out, the listing agent provided some context, essentially noting what the best offer was. They didn't give the information for all 28 offers they had received, but they had given the open information of price and conditions and stuff for the initial top offer, which gives context. Fair enough. Is there an argument that the details of all offers should have been provided to all people so they could kind of see where they were ranked? Yeah, absolutely. I think that's probably how you and I would have done it. And then the big kind of hang up that began here is we already saw, in my opinion, a realtor getting overwhelmed by this system, which is that in the next updates to come, they stopped being as transparent about the conditions, price, closing dates of an individual offer, and they started citing that the best price is currently this. We have offers with no conditions.
Selective.
Very selective in what they were piecing together and almost kind of proposing as what the top offer was without really clarifying that all of these components were a part of one offer.
Of course.
And this is exactly the kind of problem I think most of us anticipated with this sort of rollout. Now, whether or not the sellers were making a decision and changing paperwork to guide their realtor to reveal different kinds of information is sort of up in the air. But again, a lot of growing pains on this. A lot of agents who went through that process wouldn't know what the proper protocol is. So a lot of them probably wouldn't complain or even know what to point to in their complaints. But what we hope is that as time goes on here, we find some consistency. Our managing broker of record here has been in touch with other brokers within the region, and there seems to be no consistency even from an office management standpoint at this time. So goes to show how sort of confusing and convoluted and maybe impractical some of these changes really are. But I think we're all pretty hopeful that we can grow out of this and make the most of a system like this and offer more transparency to buyers. But based on how it's rolling out right now, it seems like more of a confusing thing for realtors. I can't imagine how confusing it is to be on the seller's mind right now to try to understand all of this. And it's not really offering much more clarity or safety to buyers, which I think was the initial pitch of this whole thing.
Yeah, so to add to that, the buyer was supposed to come in being excited that, yes, this is an open offer process, and I'm going to understand that everything will be open. Well, the reality is, I think there was 28 buyers.
28 offers, yeah.
Can I say that?
We just did.
Okay. I bet you 20 to 25 of those buyers left being more confused as to what happened that night, just because of the consistency of the process. So there is a document that is basically called a seller's direction that's been modified for this process that would state that we're going to be listing the price as open, the conditions as open, the closing date as open. But when things kind of come back and they're spliced and you're not getting all of that information, for me, it's like really easy. Spreadsheet, offers, everything. And as they get updated, I update it and I resend it out.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that make sense?
Absolutely.
But a seller's agent is also supposed to do the best for their client and get the best possible result, but while maintaining their fiduciary role and responsibilities as an agent. But again, I think we've got some work ahead of us. So have patience.
Have patience with that.
For me, I'm just like, I don't think I'm going to hold offers anymore because I just don't like where that goes. I thought there was a time and place for that strategy.
I'd say there still is a time and a place for it, but I would say we're not in that time or place.
We're not, right? And so I think most of the time I'm telling my sellers is, okay, this is where we find the house value. I think we add a bit of a cushion, have a bit of a negotiation process, which I know you enjoy, right? I think we all enjoy a bit of that, but I think that's what I want to do. I can't see the market getting too hot again for it to be like that, but the reality is we are still seeing multiple offers on some specific products. So anyhow.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's
Lots
move
of
on.
fun stuff on the go. I think that this Tressa stuff is going to be an ongoing conversation going into the new year too, as a few more headaches kind of pop up, and we'll do our best to kind of discuss them and raise the red flags. So hopefully some folks can know them and know to ask those kind of questions.
Okay.
But winter's coming up. Well, winter's kind of here. It doesn't really feel like it.
Well, like Jay, I've got my jacket on, I've got my Sherpa blanket, I've got my hipster beanie on. Like, it's freezing out there, but we do have an agent in Guelph, MVD, in the Mike Von Den team, who's doing something really cool. Why don't you explain what's going on?
Yeah, essentially he's kind of taken the initiative here to collect coats and winter attire, things to help some folks especially in the Wellington region there. And I'll be honest, I feel bad. I forget exactly what the organization is, but essentially he's doing a drive to collect winter gear that can be donated to those who don't have it. And the snow's not quite here yet. The temperature hasn't really dipped. So I think to prepare people for the winter, it'd be great if you've got anything sitting around your house that you'd like us to come and pick up from you so that we can get that to Mike so he can work on donating that. It sounds like he's gotten a lot together already. And it's just going to be just another good initiative, I think, coming out of the TW office. And you were actually just mentioning before we started here that you did the drop-off for the food bank yesterday.
Yeah, so it was a challenge between two brokerages of who could raise the most. I didn't get the Guelph numbers, but we delivered, I think, 276 pounds of goods.
Great.
And then I think based on the weight, they can give you an idea of how many meals that is. It's about 211 meals. Now, I saw diapers in there and stuff. No, I don't think people are eating diapers, but the reality is, there's a lot of help there, which I think is great. So thank you for our clients, family, friends who supported those, the Meet with Santa in Guelph in Kitchener, and you've helped some people out. So good for you, and I think that's something that we have to be cognizant of moving forward. I think, again, we are very lucky people. And I would always say when you can give, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think kind of on that note, and probably the last thing I'll throw out, because I have to get going actually, is I'm actually heading from here right to the completed Habitat for Humanity build here in Kitchener on Kale Street. And that project is a number of townhouses that were constructed by Habitat for Humanity over, I want to say they've been plugging away at that for about 10 years now. And they're just now finishing that one up before they move on to their next project. And Habitat for Humanity, obviously an organization that is very much in line with us as realtors here, trying to put roofs over people's heads. The Waterloo Association of Realtors and has been a big supporter of Habitat for Humanity. A lot of our fundraisers goes to that organization. I've had the chance to work on the job site this year and doing some of the finishing touches on some of these properties, and it's a very volunteer-based organization doing good work and trying to help some of the housing issues that we're experiencing in town. So I'm heading there right now, actually, and just another good cause that's coming up this time of year. It's such a fun part of December, eh? People trying to help each other out.
Yeah,
and recognize
I feel that's kind of that's the time of year, right? And I personally love it. I try to get my girls involved as well. But yeah, give where you can give.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you think we're going to do another one of these this year?
I don't know. No, I honestly, to that point, I think I'd like to spend some more time with the family. We kind of doubled up week to week, that we'd have enough content for, the 6 viewers that are watching these videos. But we'll be back in full force in the new year.
Absolutely.
Rejuvenated.
Sounds good.
And giving us time with our families and friends. But yeah, I want to wish everyone happy holidays.
Yeah. Enjoy your time.
Yeah.
Relax. Hopefully you get a chance to unplug a little bit, and we'll see you 2024.
Thank you. Jay's on Real Estate, signing
Real
off.
Estate. Perfect.